7, it's vacating the right of way. It's on Southeast 328th Street and 60th Avenue. They might not show up there, sometimes they don't. It's only on study sessions. Meetings are usually just for decisions. Study sessions or the talk.
Sorry.
No, as loud as Bill does, so.
Ready, Teresa? Okay. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'd please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And Teresa, would you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor Pelosa.
Here.
Councilmember Baggett.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember DeCoursey.
Here.
Councilmember Holman.
Here.
Councilmember Trout Manuel. Here. Councilmember Wales.
Here.
Thank you. We will go to proclamations. We have one proclamation this evening. And I believe we have a few people from Green River College to join me this evening. Allison Jansen, who is the Queer and Allies Club advisor and faculty member. Come on up. Ann Hiles, the 2018-2019 Q&A president and LGBTQ peer navigator. Karina Cisneros, 2018-2019 Q&A vice president. Nope. Okay. Marissa Georgeson, 2018-2019, no. And Amanda Moore? Yes. 2019-2020 Q&A president. And if there are any other members of the Q&A that would like to come up, come on up. Don't be shy. All right. Well, thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Mayor's proclamation. Whereas the City of Auburn is a welcoming community and recognizes the importance of equality and freedom. And whereas the month of June was designated Pride Month to honor the Stonewall riots, which is commemorating its 50th anniversary and is generally recognized as the catalyst of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, LGBTQ movement. And whereas Washington State has led the nation in protecting the civil rights of our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer neighbors, co-workers, friends, and family members. And whereas in 2008, the City of Auburn passed resolution number 4345 that joined Auburn with the National League of Cities partnership for working toward inclusive communities, a program affirming that Auburn is committed to inclusion as a fundamental aspect of our community and that local elected officials can and should lead the way forward in making inclusiveness a priority in their cities. And whereas the City of Auburn in 2008 also began offering domestic partner benefits to its employees and further affirming that all employees, regardless of sexual orientation, will be treated equally in the eyes of their employer. And whereas in 2017, the City of Auburn added resolution number 5284 that reaffirms its commitment to making inclusiveness and diversity fundamental aspects of our community and affirming the values of all Auburn residents. And whereas we honor the history of the fight for equality and we celebrate and take pride in our commitment to being a community that is safe and welcoming, where all people can feel safe and live without fear and prejudice, discrimination, violence, and hatred based on race, religion, gender identity, or sexual orientation. And now, therefore, I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim June 2019 as LGBTQ Pride Month in the City of Auburn and urge all citizens to recognize the contributions made by members of the LGBTQ community and to actively promote the principles of equality, constitutional, and civil rights of all people, dated the 17th day of June, 2019. And Allison, I will give that to you.
Thank you.
And if you have a few words that you would like to say? Step closer to the microphone so it can be picked up for the viewing audience.
I would just like to thank the City of Auburn for making this proclamation. It's a wonderful thing, and Auburn is part of our beautiful state that has led the way, and we're proud to be here, and we thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
As a thank you to you, Mayor, we would love to give you this bag of Green River Pride swag, which includes a Green River Queer and Allies t-shirt, positivity cards, which our organization creates ourselves to hand out around campus as a way to spread positivity and light in the world, or at least our little world, as well as buttons and a few other awesome Pride trinkets.
I will take that with great pride and appreciation. Thank you very much. Anyone else have any comments you'd like to make? All right, well, we appreciate you being here, and if you would go forward and accept the appreciation of council for the work that you are doing, not just at Green River, but in the community at large. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Finish your studies. I hope you make Auburn your home.
Sorry. All right. We have no appointments this evening. Do we have any agenda modifications?
Yes, Mayor. We have 2 items added. Item 7H to schedule a public hearing for Resolution 5411, and item 7I authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a contract with Burke Consulting in the amount not to exceed $70,000 to perform a fiscal sustainability analysis.
Great. Thank you. Council, you caught both of those? Okay. All right. We will move on to the public hearings that we have scheduled for this evening. Public hearing for right-of-way vacation V1-18. City Council to hold a public hearing in consideration of right-of-way vacation V1-18. Ingrid, is there a staff report?
No staff report tonight. We did discuss this at 2 previous City Council study session meetings. Happy to answer any questions. And just for clarification, this is the cemetery property right-of-way vacation, and then following that is a dedication of new right-of-way as part of the conditions of that application.
Excellent. Thank you. Council, are there any questions of Ingrid before we open the public hearing? All right. I will open the public hearing. This is for right-of-way vacation V1-18, and that otherwise known as the cemetery property. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this right-of-way vacation? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record. And please limit comments to 3 minutes.
Okay. Won't be hard. My name is Bill Sherrill. I live at 5875 South 326 Court in Auburn. I live in Mountain View. It's a 55-lot subdivision to the north and west of the cemetery. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the Mountain View North-South HOA and as an adjacent property owner to Mountain View Cemetery and property under consideration for future subdivision development. First, I would like to say that neither the Mountain View HOA nor I oppose proposed vacation of the existing right-of-way across cemetery property or the establishment of a new right-of-way on the northern edge of cemetery property adjacent to our neighborhood. We fully understand the advantages of the proposed action for the future of Mountain View Cemetery, and we appreciate the information and courtesy provided to us by Auburn staff, including Jeff Dixon, Amber Price, Jacob Sweeting, Ingrid Gobb, and Darrell Faber. We have called on staff on a continuing basis for over a year as we have worked through issues and questions regarding the proposed development near us as well as the proposed right-of-way vacation. From the beginning, it has been our goal to protect our neighborhood to the greatest extent possible while being a good neighbor to Mountain View Cemetery. Our greatest concerns and challenges have been how to minimize the effect of the proposed development adjacent to our neighborhood, preserve significant trees, including a small group of big leaf maples, possibly 80 to 300 years old, and avoid the additional impact of a possible new street adjacent to the rear lot lines of 10 homes along South 326 Court. We have established a working dialogue with the developer of the proposed development next to us and have a tentative agreement that would minimize the potential impact on the existing Mountain View neighborhood as well as Mountain View Cemetery and potentially address most of our concerns. The agreement includes the donation of a parcel of land to the HOA that could be used for a future park. We fully realize that no formal subdivision application has been submitted to the city, and there are numerous issues and challenges the developer must address, and therefore we do not expect any formal commitments from the city at this time. All we ask of the city is that if the developer can work out the significant challenges ahead of him and ultimately obtain subdivision approval, that the city will work with the Mountain View neighborhood to the degree possible to lessen the impact of the proposed development in our neighborhood, including construction traffic on neighborhood streets. Specifically, we ask that the city be open to working with the developer to establish a construction easement utilizing the right-of-way location under consideration for vacation. We simply ask that going forward that the city and Mountain View Cemetery continue to be a good neighbor for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this right-of-way vacation? All right, hearing none, we will close that public hearing, and we will move to the public hearing for 2020 through 2025 Transportation Improvement Plan, or the TIP. City Council to hold a public hearing in consideration of adoption of the 2020 through 2025 Transportation Improvement Plan. Ingrid, is there any staff presentation?
No staff presentation tonight. Again, this was also discussed at a couple of previous council study sessions, but we're happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions from council? All right. I will open the public hearing for the 2020 through 2025 Transportation Improvement Plan. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the TIP? Is there anyone that would like to speak to the TIP? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and we will move on to audience participation. This is a place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to the City Council on any issue. Those wishing to speak are reminded to sign in on the form provided. And if you could please give your name and address for the record and limit remarks to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Yes, sir, please come forward.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Roy Cruikshank. I reside at 32117 46th Place South in Auburn. And I've got a letter I'd like to read you. Honorable Mayor Backus, Mayor Pro Tem Bill Pelosa, and City Council members. This is a follow-up to our attendance at the previous City Council meeting on May 6, 2019. At that time, we brought to the council's attention the high crime activity at 32143 46th Place South. We as a community of neighbors remain very concerned for our safety and well-being due to the suspicious and we believe criminal activity at this location. We are very disappointed in the lack of response, as we had requested the city to marshal the city's resources and put together a team to investigate the problems we brought to the council's attention. It has been roughly 6 weeks since that council meeting. The response to our concerns has been virtually non-existent. We had been requested to report suspicious activity and to report specific persons of interest to the police department at this location when we had our community meetings with the police department representatives on May 30th. On June 6th, we reported to Detective Pearson per his request and 911 that we had seen a certain person of interest entering the address at 32143 46th Place South. We understand that the police department is busy, but we're not happy with the response we got. I quote, "Thank you for the info. If we're able to free up, we'll try to get up there. Thank you again for the great info." On June 10th at 12:30 a.m., 911 was called by two different neighbors, one who reported hearing a female screaming loudly, "Don't touch me." It sounded like she was being physically abused. Officers arrived at the scene, indicated to one of the neighbors that they had been at this residence on different occasions and that no one inside wanted to come out and talk with them. A search around the outside of the property was done and the officers left. As we stand here this evening, the concerns for our safety remains. The suspicious activity at this residence continue. We have been doing our part by following the advice of the police by keeping an eye out and reporting when needed. We have had minimal contact with the police department and no contact from other city department representatives. If this house was next door to your homes, you would be demanding that someone take swift action to mitigate the issues. This is a serious issue for our neighborhood, and the urgency we feel does not allow us to sit back and do nothing. Please do not think that we are going to just go away. We'll continue to be persistent in our efforts to compel the city to take actions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then may I give a copy?
Yes, if you want to give it to Teresa, our city clerk.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And if Commander O'Neill, would you take a few moments and speak with Mr. Cruikshank on? Thank you. Mr. Cruikshank? Yes. Commander O'Neill would be happy to speak with you for a few minutes out in the hallway to make sure that we have everything that we need. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Sir, please come forward, give your name and address for the record, and then ma'am, you can be next.
My name is Steve Vinton. My address is 32204 46th Place South. I am right across the street from the residence Rory's talking about. It's been going on for 30 years plus. Heavy drug trafficking, hard drugs, heroin. I had one of them turn around. They've been turning around in my driveway, and what they do is they pull in my driveway and they pull up far enough so they can survey the whole place, and they stop, and then they hang a big U-ball and take off. Well, I don't like it because I've been ripped off 5 times in the last 2 years. We know who's doing it, and we're asking the police department to try and work with us, but by the time they get there, it's all over and done. The response time, like Rory said, is really bad, we feel. The other day, just for an example, quick example, one of them drove up my driveway and stopped, and me and my wife were on the deck, and I just hollered down. I says, "Find somebody else's driveway to turn around in." And he starts swearing and cursing at me and getting real belligerent. So I walked down there, and I saw him just kind of go back like this, and he reached in the back for a gun. And I just kind of stood back, and I says, "Go ahead, shoot me. There's people watching." And he backed off, so he backed his head up. He brought his arm up, and he backed his head up, and he just shot a big loogie in my face. I mean, talk about it being assaulted. And this is the kind of stuff that's going on across the street all the time. They get so high over there, they come over and want to use our phone. They're stumbling around, they can't drive. We're right across the street, we look directly at them, we see it all. And we're sick and tired of nothing being done. The SWAT team was up there the other day, about a month and a half ago, and did a shock and awe thing. Absolutely did nothing. They didn't even get the person they were looking for, and the person that they're looking for has been wandering around the place. And the Auburn police says, well, if you see him, give us a call. You know, he's got a warrant for his arrest. So we do, and by the time they get up there, he's gone. Every time. I mean, this is just, they're not stupid. They've been doing this for 35 years. They know exactly not to come out of the house. They know that the officers will not engage in the house or get a search warrant. And that's the way they live. And they mummify the whole neighborhood. They just, you know, scare us all the time because of the traffic all night long. Coming to pick up the drugs and leaving, and they're wandering around, walking the streets all night. I get up at 3 in the morning and I can for sure see a couple of them wandering around or driving in and out of the driveway. We always know when the shipments come. We've tried to work with the Auburn Police Department, but nobody cares about the heroin and what's going on over there. Yeah, I watched the beating the other day. The guy that lives there was throwing the girl from car to car, bashing her head, and he had her held down in the driveway, and she couldn't breathe. Finally, her and another girl got away, and the police ended up arresting one of them because they had a warrant. Well, that's too bad, but they should have gone after the person that was doing it. I called the police, nothing happened. Police didn't even come talk to me about it. It's pretty upsetting when you live there we've lived there for what, 40 years? 41 years. Built this house, and these people have been across the street for 30 of them. They live in a torn down shack trailer and garbage everywhere. The rats and the raccoons come and feast on their place. And like I'm with Rory, we're tired of it. That's all I have to say.
Well, sir, Commander O'Neill is out in the hallway with Mr. Crookshank if you would like to go out and talk with him. Ma'am?
I'm Val Erickson, and I live at 535 M Street Northeast. And I'd like to make the point, when I come in here to talk, as I have occasionally, I always feel intimidated because everything is so decorous and quiet. And yet this weekend, I have been a raging lunatic of anger. And I notice in here, let's say I would try to rush over to anyone over here. Order would be maintained in here. It is orderly in here. There is not chaos. Okay, none of us live here. We live out there. Out there, it is a hellhole of property crime. I am sick of it. My Christmas was greatly diminished because a week before Christmas, somebody broke in.
I could ask you to stay by the
Somebody broke
microphone.
into my home, and they stole 3 generations of jewelry. Yeah, and everyone's sad. We need to do something about it. Last night, my granddaughter graduated. That was diminished because Saturday night, somebody broke into my car, smoked a cigarette, spread ashes all over, and stole some snow chains, which doesn't really matter. But the fact is, I'm not alone. And I know you all are familiar with Nextdoor.com. You see on there, all over this city, property crime is pervasive. There is not enough being done about it. And we need to do something about it. I would suggest that we elect council members that put that as a top priority. Now, and you can say, oh, you know, worse things. I don't mean to be like a wimp, a complainer, but honestly, there are worse things. There's cancer, there's death of a family member. These are worse than having your home broken into or your car broken into. That's not your jurisdiction. Violent crime is worse than property crime. It's not as pervasive, and property crime is nothing to laugh at. I'm a different person since I've been broken into. I am embittered, I am angry. It affects people, and it is so pervasive. I know of at least 5 people in my near neighborhood that have been broken into and have been violated. It's disgusting, and it is drug related. Mr. Cruikshank was talking about drugs. These people could very well be some of the people that are going around committing these crimes. Yeah. I mean, to focus on other things is almost like other crimes. To me, it's almost like you have a rat infestation in an apartment complex, but you also have some dangerous pit bulls in the area, so everyone's focusing on the pit bulls. But the rat infestation is crazy. That's the way property crime is. It's crazy in this area. So one thing, oh, I'm sorry he left. One thing is we need more of him. We need more policemen to patrol. I have heard on the East Hill and the West Hill, as well as downtown, that police presence is not there all the time. Criminals who want to break in are not seeing patrols going around. We need more policemen. Oh, but we don't have the budget. Okay, change the budget. Pet Palooza is great, 4th of July, great, Kids Day. Okay, I bet if you had a vote in Auburn residents, would you rather choose the festivals in the park, or would you rather have more policemen? People are going to vote more policemen to patrol, to take care of things. He was saying response time. Part of that is there's not enough policemen to keep busy, to keep up on it. So rearrange
I'm going to
the
need
budget.
you to wrap up. Your 3 minutes
Okay.
are
Okay.
up.
Yeah, that will do it, and more to come because I'm not done with this.
And just for the record, it's police officers. We have male and female officers. And if you would like to talk with Commander O'Neill, he is out in the hallway talking with the other neighbors. And so if you would like to go out there and join in that conversation, you are welcome to do so. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Bob Zimmerman, 330-29 46 Place South. And you can probably guess I'm here to talk about code violations and safety standards that were developed over the last century that the city of Auburn chooses to ignore. And I suppose you're probably wondering, well, why does that guy keep coming? You know you ain't going to do nothing. I know you're not going to do nothing. The people that encourage me to come down here say, they ain't going to do nothing, but they still encourage me to come down here and try to get something done. And I guess my biggest concern is even more than the violations is the attitude I've run into. You know, 2 years ago in, I believe it was May of 2017, I get the CERT newsletter. In there's an article about volcanoes and the lahar, or the mud flow coming down off Mount Rainier, and a little bit about earthquake. And it says to people to, when they hear these warnings or the earthquake starts, they better get 50 feet off the valley floor. And that kind of caught my attention because most of the people that advise you about that kind of stuff say you go 100 feet. But anyway, maybe we're only going 50. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. But anyway, I kind of thought to myself, you know, that is not conducive to multifamily, multi-story residential units down in the mud. So later that year, I thought, you know, I thought that guy wants to keep his job. Well, he probably better quit writing like that. A couple months later in July, that was the end of those CERT newsletters for a year. But anyway, I don't know if that was a problem or not. But anyway, later that year, I was taking that, what do they call it, Citizens Academy, to learn how the government works. And I appreciate you guys doing that. You know, I had a selfish motivation there. I thought I'd find out a way to get codes enforced down there so the damn wall wouldn't fall on our house. and or on the tank that's on the other side, 1,000 gallons of propane. You know, the late Dave Goff of the Valley Regional Fire Authority, one of the few people that seemed to have any concern at all for the issues I raised, was a little concerned about that wall stand on top of the ground by that 1,000 gallon of propane, because we know that those propane tanks are just sitting on the ground and they're going to be rolling around doing whatever they do, and when they're out of position, the safety stuff on them doesn't necessarily work very well. So anyway, at that Civics Academy, I asked the emergency preparedness fella why they don't, when they see things that are not being taken care of properly, why don't they go to code enforcement and say, hey, you guys need to address these issues? And he kind of looked at Mr. Snyder, who was the director sitting there, and he didn't say anything, and after a few seconds he says, well, we have to be careful what we say in public about those kind of issues. And I thought, you got to be kidding me.
Mr. Zimmerman, I'm going to need you to
I
wrap
see,
it up.
I'm out of time. But if you can't speak about those issues in public when people's lives are at risk, there's something wrong with this city. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record.
My name's Waylon Menzia, 719 R Street Northeast. I came up here after you guys being badgered with all these comments to say thank you for all the work you guys do day and night, every single day, to make this city great. Because, I mean, there are so many other cities with so much more crime, so much more of this, but all people focus on is the negatives. They don't focus on the positives, and then they come and blame you guys, which it always, most of the time, it's not even your fault. You guys are just the representatives who they think it's your fault, but it's not. And I just think we need to let people know that there's good in our city, and that we need to show them, and that these people are great people, and it's not always their fault. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? All right, we will close public comment. Okay, go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor. Waylon, thank you for the kind words, but the citizens don't badger us. They have the right to talk to us, every one of them, and if they're unhappy, better they come and express those wishes directly to us. Thank you, though, for your comments. Much appreciated.
All right, we will move on. We don't have any correspondence this evening, correct? Okay. Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. Council Ad Hoc Committee chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendations to the City Council, if any. We currently have one ad hoc committee that is on finance, and that would be Councilmember Wales.
Thank you very much. I had an opportunity, and so did Councilmember DeCoursey, to go through the 188 pages of vouchers. It was a big month. And we found nothing that rose to the level of us asking any questions from finance. We felt very comfortable with what we reviewed, and we recommend to the full council their approval. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. And just a reminder that we did add items H and I to the agenda, Council. Is there a motion? Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I would second that motion.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Yes, this consent agenda covers minutes of the June 3rd regular council meeting, the May 13th and June 10th study session meetings, claim vouchers for $5.4 million, payroll vouchers for $2.3 million, and setting a public hearing for a franchise agreement with Comcast, and setting a public hearing date for North Auburn Logistics Water Payback Agreement, and we had a public works project for local street reconstruction for $3.2 million. And then we had the added items as the mayor covered earlier. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. We will move to ordinances. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 6687, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, approving the vacation of right-of-way in the vicinity of Southeast 328th Street and 60th Avenue South.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Holman.
Yes, I move to adopt ordinance number 6687.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
We've talked about this in study session, in at least 2 sessions. We had a citizen speak tonight that the Homeowners Association has no objection to this vacation. It will improve access for future growth in the Mountain View Cemetery, and it sounds like the neighborhood HOA is going to benefit also. So I think it's a good thing.
Great. Thank you. Questions or comments? Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I have the opportunity to go up there because every time there's a right-of-way, I always want to see where they're at and everything. And I had the opportunity to go and walk that area and look at it. And as the speaker said, the HOA is all for it. There's just a little bit of concerns that they're going to have to work out, but it's a plus overall.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor of ordinance number 6687, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5378, a resolution of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the dedication of a portion of city-owned property at city right-of-way.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I move to adopt resolution 5378.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a kind of a sister to the previously just approved ordinance. This resolution is a dedication that is condition of ordinance number 6687, approving the vacation number V1-18.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5378, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5432, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, approving and adopting the 2020-2025 Transportation Improvement Program for the City of Auburn.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move the adoption of resolution number 5432.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Baggett.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you know, this council is constantly studying our transportation improvement plan, and this is no exception. And so we have all studied this, and I'm in favor of the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5342, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5433, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the mayor to accept and expend federal grant funds and execute an agreement with the Washington State Department of Transportation for the Auburn Way South improvements, Hemlock Street Southeast to Poplar Street Southeast.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Councilmember DeCoursey.
Move to adopt resolution 5433.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to accept and expend federal grant funds that are administered through the Washington State Department of Transportation in the amount of $1,297,500, and this will finance the design phase of the Auburn Way South improvements at Hemlock and Poplar Street Southeast. This also requires a funding match of $202,500. And this project will widen the roadway between Hemlock and Poplar to create a 5-lane cross-section with some general purpose travel lanes in each direction and a 2-way center left lane.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5433, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5435, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, approving the 2019 Comprehensive Solid Waste Management Plan for the King County Solid Waste System.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Do we have a Deputy Mayor Pelosi?
I move the acceptance of Resolution 5436.
5435.
I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. 5435.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Brown.
I would second that motion, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Yes, this proposal includes $450,000 of federal funds that will be reallocated from city project CP 1904.
No. 5.
I'm sorry.
5435.
I'm all messed up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The solid waste plan is not going to require city funds. That's
No, no. So this is improving the solid waste funding source for this year. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5435, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5436, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the mayor to accept additional federal grant funds to be administered through the Washington State Department of Transportation for CP 1819 A Street Southeast Preservation Project.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
We'll try this again. I move the acceptance of Resolution 5436.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Trout Manuel. It's a lottery.
Mayor?
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Yes, this transfers funds in the amount of $450,000 to Project 1904, Auburn Way North Preservation Phase 3. And then also $310,000 will be transferred back to the Arterial Preservation Fund balance.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5436, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5437, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Auburn and the Auburn School District for mutual aid during emergencies.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move the adoption of resolution number 5437.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Trout Manuel. One of y'all's got to be it. Thank you. Councilmember Brown. Well, I can see it's just nobody's raising their hand.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution will authorize you, the mayor, to execute the interlocal agreement between Auburn and Auburn School District for mutual aid during emergencies. Very reasonable resolution that hopefully we'll never have to use, but it should be there if we need it.
Excellent. Thank you. Questions or comments from council? All those in favor of resolution number 5437, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5439, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the city to apply for and, if awarded, to accept and expend grant funds in the amount of up to $2,700,000 and no cents from the Federal Aviation Administration related to the Auburn Municipal Airport Runway Enhancement Project.
Thank you. We have Councilmember Wales. Would you like to make that motion?
I certainly would, Mayor. Well, but I got several lights on here, and so I was really confused. And so, anyway, that
You
was
got
a
the one on that
precaution
matters.
story, so I wouldn't get in trouble again. Okay, but moving right along, I move for the approval of Resolution 5439.
Thank you. Do we have a second? I can see that hand. Councilmember DeCoursey.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
I'm
back
really
to you.
excited about this. It gives us an opportunity to apply for additional money so that we can enhance the length of our airport runway and continue to be.
I knew you'd do that, but I'm all set. I'm prepared.
We always start with you, Deputy Mayor.
I went to a meeting on the 14th of June regarding solid waste. I represent the city, garbage, all this type of stuff. We talked about multi-family recycling in the city of Auburn. We talked about the dumpsters that are located in apartment complexes. We got to keep the lids closed for anyone hearing out there on these carts. We got to keep them closed because we don't want to contaminate the recycling material inside those containers from inclement weather. The city of Auburn has increased up to about 50% of recycling now, and we want to improve that because the more we can recycle, the less full Cedar Hills landfill will become. When that landfill fills up, we're going to have to transport all the garbage out of King County by rail, and that's going to increase the cost. So if we are more diligent with our recycling, this will help the costs and keep them lower. Also, we talked about hazardous waste program, and it's been in since 1990. If you recall, out at the mall, we have a hazardous waste facility out there that's open on Saturday and Sunday. I use it. Take your batteries there, take all your fluorescent tubes there. We don't want those to go in the landfill. We got to recycle them. Also, my favorite subject is the Algona transfer station. If you all recall, several years ago, Auburn was cited as a potential transfer station site. I worked diligently to advocate keeping it in Algona, and they have done that. King County has done that. The old transfer station, which is about 8 acres, is going to go to 19 acres. So it's going to be huge. And it will be one of the first transfer stations that will accept hazardous waste. So the hazardous waste out here at the mall will go away, and that is scheduled for 2023, when the transfer station will open for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a note on that, the electeds in Algona were also supportive of it going to Algona. We don't, as a city, typically push for something to go to a neighboring city unless they are in support of it. Just wanted to make that clear. But we do appreciate your work on the issue, Deputy Mayor. Let's start with Councilmember Baggett tonight.
Thank you. A couple of things. I attended last week I attended the Emergency Management Advisory Committee for King County, and the big thing talked about there was that the city of Auburn is part of Region 6, as designated by the State Homeland Security Program. And Region 6 normally would receive grant money of about $1.4 million during the year. However, this year, for some reason, we received $1.6 million, of which the city of Auburn has the opportunity to file for grant some of that grant money, which we do. And one of the important things is that this money that we receive has to be dedicated 25% of those funds that we receive to the support law enforcement, which is a good thing. However, the grant process really kind of came under the gun here with the Sound Cities Association and the caucus, of which I am the chair, primarily because it doesn't seem like the Sound Cities Association members are having an opportunity to really get involved in the process as stakeholders. And we were basically lobbying for the ability to have our members present at some of these project scheduling meetings where they actually do the project development and also the evaluative process. So I think that as we move forward here with our next few meetings, we're going to see more, especially next year when the new grant process comes forward, to be more involved directly with the process itself and part of the evaluation and the awards of some of these grants, of which we hope that the City of Auburn will be a part of. Also, just a kind of a reminder, the Pierce County Cities and Towns meeting that I attended also last week, we had a presentation by a representative from the government having to do with the 2020 census. And I don't know whether a lot of people have really heard about the 2020 census, but it's going to be upon us shortly. So just be aware that there are people out there that are going to be knocking on doors and validating. They're hoping that most everybody will do this census by doing it online, which will save a lot of time and money for the state and the federal government. There are a lot of things at stake here, not only for our city, but also for our different jurisdictions that can make a real big difference as to how funds are allocated to different areas of our state. But this is nationwide, so it's really an important process. We have a designated representative now in the King County area, which will be doing ours and probably be covering the Pierce County folks as well. So that's just more of a reminder for everybody to be prepared. It's coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. On June 5th, I attended via teleconference. I was not able to attend in person, the Affordable Housing Advisory Board meeting. And the meeting context was mainly a recap of the 2019 legislative session. And one of the somewhat wins that we experienced was an increase in the legislature's funding for the Housing Trust Fund. The previous year, 2018, the legislature approved $110 million for the trust fund. This year was up to $175 million. We are consistently pushing for a $200 million amount. We're getting closer, but not quite there yet. Or looking at the legislature funding projects in the pipeline. And for those out there who don't know, the Housing Trust Fund is the mechanism used by the Housing Finance Commission to fund new housing construction projects for affordable housing. And also there's a set aside for the preservation of existing affordable housing, which is becoming more and more important. So we will keep pushing, and hopefully next year we'll top the $200 million mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
No report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Trout-Manuel.
No report.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
No report, this is the light end of the table.
The light is at the table. There's light at the end of the table. Well, I am going to take my time this evening to say thank you to our finance director, Shelley Coleman. For those of you that may not realize it, this is Shelley's last council meeting. Shelley will be, yes, couldn't you see the grin on her face from back there? So, well, she'll be turning in. She's already promised me that she will find ways to keep in touch and know what's going on in the city. Shelley joined the City of Auburn June 3rd, 1996. So she has been with us over 23 years. And during that time, I just jotted down a few of the things that have occurred in that 23 years, and this is by no means an exhaustive list. We have had annexations, a couple of them on Lee Hill, West Hill. We are now in 2 counties. We have, we built a public safety building. We have the annex building. We have the Community and Events Center. We have the Auburn Valley Humane Society. We have the Sound Transit Sounder Station. We receive, Shelley and her team receive the GFOA award every year for an outstanding financial statement presentation. And I do not know a city hall without Shelley here. You are leaving really big shoes to fill, Shelley. And we are going to miss your unparalleled understanding of budgeting, especially, you know, there's public accounting and then there's working for a public entity and a municipality, and those types of accounting are different. We do fund accounting for government, and that is not the same. I can tell you, after working 23 years at Boeing in financial accounting, they are not the same. Do debits equal credits? Yes, that's just a basic understanding of accounting. But in so many other ways, accounting for a municipality is sometimes convoluted. It is not necessarily intuitive. But Shelley has done an incredible job of not just mastering the skills and the understanding that it takes to be the finance director for a city of 82,000 people, but she has also come up with creative ways for this council to understand those complex concepts. I don't think anybody will ever look at the party store or anywhere else at all of the different colored cups without thinking of Shelley and the way that she creatively provided us an understanding of each one of the funds that we have based on the color and the number of cups. And Shelley, I know that I am very, very excited for you and what lies ahead in your years of not waking up to an alarm clock to come in to the city of Auburn for work. We are much better off for you having been here. We are going to be very sad to not see you every day, and especially at these council meetings, and providing your guidance and your wisdom and telling us no when sometimes the easy answer would be yes. But we do truly appreciate you and all that you have done to make Auburn such a great place. Council, if you will join me. Well, Councilmember Wales just wanted to know if it's a gift of public funds if we let Shelley take those cups with her. Take your chair? Yes. So Shelley, thank you, and we wish you nothing but the greatest of happiness and enjoyment in your retirement.
Thank you, Mayor, for the kind words. And council, it's been a pleasure working with you. And it's great. I love to see councils come in, new councils, people who've been on council. It's going to be a different transition for me, but I'm sure I'll find my way.
Sure. You always know where we are, Shelley. Mr. City Attorney, do we have any need for a closed or an executive session tonight? No, Your Honor. Not even one with finance where we have to be here for 3 more hours? 4 or 5 special council meetings in the next 2 weeks, and I'll talk to you about that. Excellent. With that, we are adjourned.